Good morning, everyone. How are you doing? This is Amanda. I do hope that you're well. Today is Wednesday. I think it's the 15th or the 16th of August. I feel as though I am trying to broadcast and get a message out to you today, literally from the bunker. Seems very symbolic of the times that we're in as well. Maybe we're all in bunker mode. I just on a personal level, I have got noise everywhere in my house today. We've got workmen to the right, behind, and in my house. So I'm actually sitting at my dressing table to deliver this message to you because it's an important one. And I think it's one that I've just got to get it out, basically. So here we go. The other thing I would like to say as well is that for those of you that follow me on various social media channels, I'm basically on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. It's a bit like doing a dance at the moment between all three channels because all three channels have their own individual problems and issues. But there seems to be... Metatron's making me smile because he's saying it's a bit like tapping out, I don't know, a Morse code or something from the bunker. You'll always find a signal somewhere, he's saying. So at the moment, YouTube seems to be the one that's behaving the most. Instagram, since they changed the whole way they do things, they are pushing reels over videos. I'm a videos girl, and I have up to this point been trying to record pretty much daily videos, certainly regular weekly videos, on my Instagram page of about 15 minutes long. Sometimes they were 20 minutes long. But, you know, they're just not happy with that anymore. And yesterday it took me over 2 hours to upload a video there. And then they chopped off the last 5 minutes. Other days they won't let me upload at all. I understand what is happening. They want people to be uploading 2-minute reels. And I'm going to be talking about this in a moment, which is to do with our attention span and our ability to focus in an overstimulated world, where actually we're all oversensitized and becoming desensitized. So we can't actually listen or take in information. And it's being triggered and it's being pushed as an agenda by the likes of social media platforms such as Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. They're all guilty of it. You know, on YouTube, you've probably seen all of these shorts, these reels. And I watched, there's a channel that I follow called Think Media. I'll give him a shout out. He's got quite a few million supporters. He's just like a tech guy who helps you to, I don't know, source the right camera or the right lighting for your YouTube channel. He does a lot more than that as well. But I remember watching something with him a while back, and he basically said that, Metatron's telling me to slow my speech down because he's saying you've got all the time in the world because this isn't going to go up on Instagram. Okay. He said that those people that are doing, for example, they're concentrating on reels or shorts. You could do a short on YouTube and you could get, I don't know, 2 million views on it. As an example, it could be a really popular one that, you know, does the rounds, but it won't build your audience because people aren't basically interested necessarily in coming back just because they've seen a funny skit or, you know, it's the equivalent of a very lightweight tabloid as opposed to a heavyweight broadsheet. I'm talking newspapers. It's an analogy. I've always been in the broadsheet category and it's where I want to stay. And at the moment, I'm rallying against a system that basically just wants to feed us sound bites and more sound bites. But the sound bites are actually getting smaller and smaller. And then we wonder why we can't concentrate on anything and why we can't focus on anything. So I feel as though I'm being asked to lead a fight back here, a rallying call to all of you who are creators to start to help people to redevelop and reconnect their neural pathways in their brain so that we can concentrate for longer. And hell, I'm a menopausal woman. I lose my mind some days. I lose my focus and my attention frequently, okay? What's that saying? In fact, it's a fact. The moment we're born, we're losing brain cells, okay? So that is happening anyway. But we're also living in this world where we're not feeding our intellect. The last video that I did on YouTube, I was talking about, it was the Salman Rushdie video, I was talking about ignorance versus intellect. And we also had intelligence there, another I in the whole equation coming in. And I really feel as though we need to be stimulating our intellect more, rather than our base chakras. Metatron is saying that a lot of the material that we are consuming, particularly on social media, is feeding our base chakra energy or our sacral. It can be quite titillating. It can be quite fun. It can be funny. You know, I'm as guilty as anybody as watching some of this stuff. And there's nothing wrong with it in balance. But when you don't balance it out with more meaty subjects, more meaty discussions, you're going to lose your ability. You're going to lose your canine teeth. You know, putting it in again in another metaphor. We have our canine teeth because historically we ate meat. Okay, that's why we had them. If we then stop eating it, ultimately over hundreds, thousands of years, I don't know how long it's going to take, we'll lose them because we won't need them anymore. This is actually about our intellect. It's about our brain starting to rot because we just cannot concentrate and we cannot focus. Now, one of the best teachers out there that can help us, he's now passed over, rest his soul, was Thich Nhat Hanh. His books on mindfulness, on staying present, on the power of listening are so needed now in our world. And I would encourage you to go back to his books, reread them, listen to his words, because it is masterclass stuff. And all of us have things that we can improve on. You know, yesterday, I'm just going to give an example, and I'm really not trying to judge anybody here. I'm not trying to shame anybody here. My job as a teacher is to try and help push you and to help show you where the gaps are, that in areas that where we all need to improve, myself included. But I put this post up yesterday about the bruise that I received on the same day that I recorded the Salman Rushdie video in my stomach. It came up very unexpectedly, very suddenly. I explained why it had happened, and it's actually linked into something called energetic transference, where you go into a subject, you feel it to such a degree because you're a strong empath that you pick up some of what you're reading into. I also feel as though I absorbed some of the bruising that he had got on that particular day, and was only one, because there will be many of us, one of the people that was acting energetically to help keep him here, stabilize his body and take on some of his pain. But the interesting thing that happened was that after the bruise developed, it's turned into a heart shape. And I put the photograph of it up yesterday on Facebook and Instagram last night. I explained about the energetic transference. I'd done another video in the day where I'd been talking about spiritual protection. It's a big old subject. We'll come back to it. But I said, and the really interesting thing is the bruise has now turned into a heart. It literally is heart-shaped. In fact, my daughter saw me getting undressed last night and she said to me, my God, it's a heart. So it is. It's a heart-shaped bruise. But what was so interesting, and it's tied into what I'm talking about, how we don't really read anything anymore. We can't focus. So many people obviously saw the photograph and they just put, oh my God, can anybody else see it looks like a heart? Whereas actually I'd written that it was a heart. And do you see what I'm trying to say? It's as though we all jump in because we actually haven't bothered to read the bit before, or watch the video. And that's a constant battle for all of us. We all do it. We're all guilty of it. But when you catch yourself doing it, maybe just take a moment to pause, breathe, recenter, ground, and be present. I think also, this thing about brain rot, I was given 2 examples this morning by Metatron of things we can do. Now, one thing would be, for example, I don't know, learning a musical instrument, learning a foreign language, doing Sudoku or a crossword every day, something like that. Even something like, you know, when I went up to see my dad, his wife is very into jigsaws. And okay, if you're 19, I understand you don't want to sit down and do a jigsaw, but do something equivalent. The point is that this was a 10,000 piece jigsaw, and you actually have to think about, okay, well, that shade of green, actually, that looks like it's on that particular part of the jigsaw, so it can't be there. You're in the moment, okay? You're just thinking about that. You're focused on it. Your brain is firing off left, right, and centre. You know, wow, there's lots of stuff going on. And I think sometimes when we're watching things, particularly if they're shorts and reels, they might be very sparkly and they're stimulating and they're funny, but it's really unsatisfying. It's like a cheeseburger. It's like, well, it was quite nice, I suppose, but actually it's left me wanting more. It's certainly left my body wanting more because it had no nutrients in it, had no nourishment in it. Okay. But yeah, languages, music. It doesn't even have to be that you learn a musical instrument. I was given the example this morning of, I must admit, I'm not a big classical music girl. Okay, shoot me now, but I'm just not. Never have been. I like my pop, as you know, and I like my rock. So you'll have to think of an equivalent that we could do, but maybe it's about listening to the whole album, okay? Rather than just cherry picking the couple of bits that I know and like, and they give me instant gratification. Listen to the whole album. Read the whole book. Don't just read the whole book, read the whole series of books. Make a commitment that this year is going to be the year that I read the whole series of, I don't know, whether it's The Lord of the Rings or whatever it is that you want to read. But also it's about listening to people of intellect. Now, I know he's a very controversial character, and I know as soon as I say his name, some people are going to storm off in a huff. But, you know, I quite like Jordan Peterson. I don't like everything that he says, but I like his intellect. For me, an intellect is sexy. Intelligence is sexy. I could never sit opposite a man who just wanted, he was just like, oh, hadn't got anything up here. Okay, it doesn't matter what he's got down there. It's what he's got up here. That's, to me, is what's important. And so Jordan Peterson, the reason I'm bringing him up is that I saw he was doing a tour. He is doing a tour in the UK this October. He's going to be up in Birmingham, I think. I was thinking, I'd really like to go and see that. But I can't because my kids will just have started back at school and there's various bits going on. My daughter's about to start a job on the 8th as well. So there's a lot going on. I need to be mum. I need to be present for that. I need to be focused on that, and that's fine. But equally, maybe I can buy one of his books. In fact, I've got one of his books. I just have never read it. Another person who I really admire would be somebody like Brian Cox, the scientist. I'd love to sit and listen to Brian for hours. It's that thing. It's like, these are men, but they're also women out there. You know, it's not a sexual thing. They're people that capture our imagination because they've got something to say. I could listen to you for hours because actually you are captivating my energy. You're interesting. You've got something that is doing something up here. It's firing something off, even if it's firing something off which is like, I passionately disagree with what you've just said there, but that's going to stimulate my intellect to come up with an argument, to come up with a debate, rather than just storming off because he said this once and I don't agree with that. Produce a coherent argument, you know, produce debates. My last video, I was talking about the power of debate, the power of poetry. Those of you that made it all the way through my video, the last 5 minutes were probably the best 5 minutes of the whole video. I didn't plan it that way. It's just I shared something quite private with regard to poetry and my father and an experience that had happened last week. And yeah, it was profound and it was stimulating intellectually. And, you know, this is the video that now follows from that. So listen to people that stimulate, listen to people that make you question. We're living in a world where as soon as somebody says something that we don't agree with, we just storm off. And then we're not learning anything. We're not learning anything. The other thing I'd like to say in this video is I know many of you that watch me are not in the UK. So this is a UK reference, but please bear with me. You might be able to catch this series on iPlayer, but even if you never watch it, it doesn't matter, because I'm going to explain to you why it's important. There are two actors in the UK, an actor and an actress, called Nicola Walken and Sean Bean. You've probably heard of one of them, maybe both of them. They are very good at their craft. They are starring in a 3-part TV series that started last Sunday called Marriage. And I was really looking forward to watching Marriage because it had these two people in it. They are class. Usually what they touch is gold, okay? And I thought, if it's got Nicola and Sean in it, it's worth watching. And I hardly watch the TV anymore, to be honest. I really hardly ever watch it. But this sparked my interest. I thought, they're in it, it's going to be good, I'm going to watch it. I watched the first hour of the first series with my mouth just like open, as most people's were, because I was following it on Twitter. And everyone was saying basically what I was thinking, which was like, what the hell is this? Nothing's happening. You know, there were conversations about, I don't know, the dishwasher, a potato. It was just really, really weird. You know, it was like everyone was just waiting for something to happen. And there were clues that something might happen. Okay, so is he going to be the murderer? Is something going to happen? Is this going to happen? But an hour went by and people were sort of saying, well, I'm going to hang on now because the last 10 minutes, something's going to have to happen. Nothing happened. And I thought, wow, you know, what the hell was that? That was like the dullest hour I've ever watched. But I was intrigued enough by the dullness to think, hold on, these two actors are masters of their craft. They wouldn't have signed up to do this, because I don't believe they were just in it for the money, if they hadn't seen something in the script that was there. There's something that I'm missing here, and I don't want to miss what they saw in the script. So I started to watch episode 2. Again, same thing. The hour passed, nothing really happened, except I suddenly got what they were trying to do. And actually, a few people now are starting to get what the programme was about. The programme was basically an antidote almost to the programmes that we watch, which are fast-paced. Something happens every minute. You watch a soap opera, there's a bomb, there's a murder, there's an affair, there's this, there's that. There's something happening every episode to keep your attention. And it always ends EastEnders style on the boom, boom, boom. You know, come back for more because you need to know what's going to happen. This was completely different. This was just life. And life can sometimes be a little bit humdrum. And sometimes it is about doing the washing up. Or it's often about doing the washing up. And of course, in a long marriage, there are periods of silence where you say nothing because you don't need to say anything, because you actually know each other very well and you can sit in silence and it doesn't actually mean anything. It doesn't, well, sometimes it can mean negative things, but sometimes it doesn't. It just means you're comfortable with each other. It was so softly nuanced, and it is so softly nuanced, this programme, that it did go over most people's heads. But I realised it was a complete antidote, as I've just said, to what we normally expect. And then I thought, my God, how absolutely stunningly brilliant and amazing is this? So I'm absolutely going to watch the 3rd episode. It was beautifully acted and it feels necessary. And actually, when I was watching the 1st episode, I really felt it was much more like watching a play. You know, when you go and see a play on the stage and it's just very, well, it depends obviously what play you're watching, but there was just something about the way it was scripted, the way it was acted. It was very different, and I think different is good. So, yeah, I think this is all tied in really to what I'm trying to say. So, the other thing that I've written down here in my notes is that, going back to this phrase that Metatron gave me this morning, that overstimulation, and oversensitization leads to us actually not really feeling or getting or hearing anything. Okay. He reminds me of the power of the elements to take us back to 0 point, where we can rebuild and we can restructure and we can start to refire the neurons again. Okay. All of the senses, taste, sight, hearing, everything. And, you know, I'm lucky enough to live by the sea. But as an example, we've probably all heard that expression that, you know, oh, the sea refreshes my senses. And it does. That's exactly what it does, because it takes you back to that 0 place where we remember, you know, wow, the power of the ocean, the smell, the sound, all the rest of it. Yesterday in the UK, and especially my part of the UK, we've had a very hot summer. We've actually had drought declared in a few places, not actually where I am. We haven't got a hosepipe ban yet, but it's very parched. It's very dry. I've never known the grass so hard underfoot and crisp, and it's just not the UK. Anyway, the point is that yesterday it rained for the first time, and you could literally feel everything just like, oh my God, thank you, thank you. It was like welcome relief. And it was like everything came back to life. And that's what I'm calling for, that we all start to come back to life a little bit more, that we recognize the agenda that's out there to dumb us down. Because the more that we're dumbed down and that we don't actually really feel anything because we're just constantly stimulated, including things that don't really matter, that aren't really important, we're not going to go any deeper. And on our ascension path, we have to go deeper. We have to feel more. We have to want to learn more. We have to be willing to go into different corners and different lanes to see things from different perspectives as well. So it's crucial that we maybe make a pledge to ourselves that what are we going to do for the rest of the year that's actually going to help us to concentrate, so that we don't just jump in straight away to say something to, you know, without actually listening to what has been said. I mean, again, back to the bruise story yesterday, I articulated, I thought, fairly clearly what I felt it was all about. There was a lesson there in terms of when you go into the ring, you know, you look at a subject that's heavier and darker, you can absolutely come out with a few cuts and grazes and bruises, and usually they're energetic. But this actually became physical. But equally, it was also, as I say, energetic transference. It's something that can happen to healers. We take on what we're trying to help. And it's actually an act of service. We can also say, I don't want to do that, you know, boundary, no thank you. But obviously my higher self had agreed to it, and it's an area of learning. So I'm happy to talk about it. And I was trying to explain that in a post, and there were a few people who, number one, it's shingles. Number two, it's low iron. Number three, it's been caused by, you've obviously walked into a turnstile. Number 4 or 5, whatever we're up to, it's not just a psychic attack, can't even get the words out because it's so bloody ridiculous. It's a satanic, demonic attachment entity that you've now got on you. And to that, I just said, back at you, love, back at you. This was somebody that should have known better as well. All people that wanted to jump in because they didn't want to listen to what I had to say. They thought they knew better than I did. My own body, my body. You know, I showed one little picture because it's in a fairly private area. I didn't really want to air it anyway, but I did just for a teaching perspective. But, you know, it's what I'm talking about, is people always think they know better. I mean, I guess we have to listen to them, but you don't have to take it in, you know, because I knew it wasn't demonic entity attachment. I knew it was fine. I knew exactly what it was. And actually, I will just say, as I've mentioned it, thank you maybe to the lady who brought that up, because it was a good lesson also for maybe other people who read what I replied to that comment, which is that when you say something like that to somebody, you actually are putting that on them. How many times have you heard me say words are spells? Words can be blessings. Words can be spells, good or bad. when you say to somebody, I think actually that is, I don't know, that bruise is related to something that's going wrong in an organ of your body, or, you know, you've got something wrong with you, you are putting that condition onto that person. You should never, ever do that to somebody, especially somebody you don't even know, on social media. But equally, when you say things like, you know, you've got an entity attachment, if you are young in your spiritual path and you don't maybe know because you haven't been taught yet, you can take that to heart and then you bring it in. And absolutely, you can bring that in and it can become reality. Whereas for me, I was just like, well, I'm shrugging that off because I know it's not true. Back at you. You know, you're sending that type of stuff out to people. How wrong is that? I also often get people, you know, saying things like, oh, you know, is your thyroid okay? Is this okay? Is that okay? It's not okay to say any of that stuff to people, because what you're doing is you're putting it onto them. Know thyself. Know thyself. And ultimately, trust that other people might know thyself. If someone's asking for an opinion, that's a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it? But if they're not, and you're just looking at a stranger, for example, on the internet, you don't go up to people and start to diagnose them. Would you do that in the street? I hope to God you wouldn't. You know, most of you wouldn't, I know. But, you know, I think that's important to bring into all of this as well. But I think it's all tied into what I'm talking about, this overstimulation of society. It's like, I have to say something. I have to do something. I have to let you know. No, you don't. No, you don't. Just follow thyself, okay? Work on thyself. Do something that's stimulating this up here and stimulating this, the heart, okay? That's the most important thing. Okay, spoken for 26 minutes. This definitely won't be allowed on Instagram, so it's going to be going up on YouTube. Let me pull a card today from the Dream Keepers Tarot. I think this is by Liz Houston. Great deck. And I like the deck because it makes you think. The first, you know, these cards are really unusual. And that's great. You know, anything that is different makes you think. You know, even I'm sitting here at my dressing table, even like if you've got kids like I have, they're not really kids anymore, they're young women. But, you know, it's brilliant because it stimulates your mind to see life in new ways. You know, even like with my makeup, my kids are like, oh my God, what are you doing? You don't do it like that anymore. You know, we do it this way. We do this. And it's like, right, I'm going to learn from that. Yeah, actually, you might have a point. I'm going to listen to what you have to say. Don't have to accept it, but I'm going to listen. I'm going to try and learn. And of course, they're the generation. Their generation is, I'm calling it the TikTok generation. You know, I mean, my girl's the same. They're all on TikTok and some of it's funny. I'm not trying to be an old fart that, you know, doesn't like and enjoy things that are more light. I love light stuff, but it has to be balanced by depth and broadsheet thinking, analysis, and a time and a place for that. But I don't know. The one thing I know with the Metatron energy is that you have to roll with the punches. I keep hearing that over and over. You've got to roll with the punches, Amanda. And this isn't just for me, it's for you. So we also have to adapt to the reality. You can still be the broadsheet, but equally, maybe you need to be accessible to people that don't even know that they need that yet. Okay, so, I mean, God, I really don't want to go onto TikTok or Twitter, but maybe I might have to at some point, because otherwise, how are you going to reach these people? How are they going to know that they want more? I don't know the answers, guys. Interesting, though. Top of the deck and bottom of the deck, we have two aces. We have the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. And I love the Ace of Wands card here. Look at that card. Here is a lady. It could be me. It could be you. She's in an apothecary. And she's surrounded by all of the herbal bottles and the oils. Obviously, I work with essential oils all the time. All of those of you that have got my sprays. You know, and again, that's not just a case of plink plonk, you know, a couple of drops, bit of that, shove it out. No, it's a very long process, actually. I mean, I won't even bore you with all of the stuff and the hoops that we have to jump through now to produce the products. But it's good because it's meant to be a quality product, okay? For a quality product that basically lasts for a long time, that works, that is safe, you know, it's not a quick thing. But you look at this wonderful lady. There she is in front of all her bottles, and she's in front of her cauldron, and she is learned, is what I'm hearing. She is learned. She has learned, and she's also open to still learn. She's a master of her craft, but equally it hasn't happened overnight. You see, this is another part of the whole overstimulation type energy that I'm tapping into today, because interestingly, we've got the Ace of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. To get to a place of success, whatever it is that you wish to be in life, it's very, I believe it's very Saturnian. It's very, and what I mean by that is it's very much about taking maybe the longer path, but it's the path that will bring the most reward and will be sustainable and endurable. So back to, for example, something like YouTube Shorts. Say you get 1 million views and it's like, wow, everybody knows me. It's like fish and chip paper. Everyone's forgotten it the next day because actually there's another short that's come round. That's the latest thing that's doing the rounds. Build something worthwhile, build something more meaty, build something that is going to last the course. And I think both of these actually show that quite well. Okay, the Ace of Pentacles, that rose, she's the rose. Beautiful cards. The rose isn't born overnight. The rose takes time to cultivate. The rose also is often attacked by midges and, you know, sticky flies and all the rest of it. You know, has to be pruned, has to be looked after, has to be tended. Okay, and then it grows into what it is. Same with this woman, which is you, it's me. She's learnt over time. We're living in a quick fix society, which is like, give it to me now, give it to me now. Whether it's a healing thing, give it to me now, just give me the magic wand. And I will say this because I do passionately feel this. I think the whole big pharma debate that we've got going on now, pharmaceutical, of course there's a time and a place for it. Of course there is. And if I suddenly had something wrong with me, I'm not saying that I wouldn't then take something for it or have the operation. And I would thank the doctors and the nurses who do that, who are trained, who, you know, all of that. So I'm not anti-pharma. But, you know, there are people out there which is just like, just give me the pill, just give me the pill. Because I don't want to do the inner work in terms of why maybe I've developed something. I just want the pill. I just want the pill, please. And make it all go away. Put the sticking plaster on. That isn't really going to help you on your ascension path. Because the ascension path is very much linked into, you know, what can you learn from what you're going through right now? Whether it's a physical ailment, whether it's, I don't know, financial hardship, whether it's a relationship issue, whether it's lack of self-love, whatever it is, we've all got something going on. What can you learn from it? And then you take the books off the shelf. You try different things. One thing that I've noticed over many years is that many of us that are teachers and healers, we've all got something that often is, it's like a running issue or problem. And it's like, well, okay, but you're a healer, you're a teacher. Why can't you fix that? Why can't you fix your, I don't want to make it personal. So whatever it is, I've known quite a few healers and teachers in my time. And there's usually one or two things. It's like, yeah, you still got that issue, haven't you? Or you're still troubled by that, aren't you? Or you still got that issue in your relationship. All of this. It's there to serve you. It's a master teacher. It's there to make you pick up the books, okay? It's there to make you talk to different people, to get new perspectives. It's not supposed to be something which is just like, give me the pill and then I'm fine. It's there to teach you. It's that, but we have to be open to learn, to want to learn. So I'm going full circle now back to the start of this video, which is really do anything you can to help stimulate your mind and your intellect to want to know. Part of Jesus's teaching about needing to be childlike to go through the gates of heaven and all of that type of stuff is linked into becoming childlike. Think of children. They want to know everything. They want to know everything. It's like, well, why is the sky blue? And why is the grass green? But why? And why? And why? And they drive you insane, because it's like, oh my God, I've already answered 20 questions of why today. Just give me a break. But actually, it's amazing. And then the sad thing is, because it happened with my kids as well, then they get the phone or the iPad, and then the questions stop. The questions start to stop, because it's like, I just want the fix. I just want to stare at the screen, and the screen will entertain me. But then what happens is the screen gets addictive, and the screen just gives you 2-minute shots, 2 minutes, 1 minute, because you can't cope with any more than that. And we can, and we need to start broadening and wanting more. If you want more of that type of thing, I'm going to try and keep serving it up, even from the bunker, even on days like today, where it's like, Instagram won't let me upload this stuff anymore. Facebook, I've got other problems with that, and my messenger was hacked this morning, so people have had messages supposedly from me asking loads of crappy questions, so I've had to shut Messenger down off Facebook. I'm really sorry for that. There are scammers everywhere. It's a weird old world, but we're going to get the message out because it's important. But celebrate the people in our midst who make you think, okay, even if you don't like them, because they're helping you to build this. Okay, guys, I'm going to go now. Get on with my day. I will just say very quickly, the one thing I am going to do now is I've got to go and do a post on Facebook and Instagram. But I'm also telling you here, by the time you see this, we're going to be selling, we're going to be selling the first tranche of the paintings, the original paintings for the Christ Consciousness deck that's coming out next year. There are about 42 paintings to be sold. They're all original pieces of artwork by Jane Delaford Taylor, and you only can buy them via me. But you need to go to my website. You can see what will be available. There's going to be 15 paintings available today, and then you have to email us, and we will take you through the process. They're investment pieces. They're beautiful. But again, you know, Jane spent a year painting the 55 pictures, so it wasn't something that just, you know, was instant, in the same way that my writing of the book that goes with the deck wasn't instant either. You know, instant gratification is not where it's at anymore. We need the fight back begins. Okay, going to get this up now. Lots of love, everybody. Take care. I'll leave the links below for my social media pages, which is what is it? Angelic Celestial Colours, spelt only that way. Facebook has about 27,000 followers and 27,000 likes and 40,000 followers, because dependent on the type of page you have, equals what you see. And I'm only telling you the numbers so you know you're on my official page. Instagram has got about 43,000 followers, I think, at the moment. So if you're on a page which has got that sort of number of people following it or liking it, you're on my official page. Anything else is a scam, okay? Anyway, so yeah, that's where the details will be for the artwork. And my website is called Angelic Celestial Colours as well, and the details will be up on there tonight. Okay, and then there'll be more paintings on sale next week and more paintings the week after. Okay, lots of love, everybody. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now. Bye.